Hello, my friend. I don't know when in your life you've stumbled upon this video on a peaceful morning, a weary afternoon, or a restless night when sleep won't come. But if you're searching for something to keep your heart steady in a world full of turmoil, then you've come to the right place. I am someone who has lived through over 60 autumns. I've seen success and failure, love and lost dreams born and quietly fade away. And through it all, one thing has stayed with me like a loyal companion: Stoicism. No, Stoicism isn't about being cold or enduring pain with rigid silence. Stoicism is the art of living with clarity, knowing what's in our control and learning to let go of what isn't. It's like learning to stand still in the middle of a storm, not because you're made of stone, but because you've found where your peace truly comes from. In this video, I'll share with you the 10 most profound lessons of Stoic philosophy, not through theory, but through real stories and honest reflections, spoken from the heart of someone who has lived, stumbled, and is still learning how to live simply each day. I'm not here to teach you anything. I just want to sit with you like two old friends on a porch, pouring each other a cup of tea, whispering quietly about life. And if even one of these lessons reaches you, soothes a worry, eases a wound, or quiets a lingering question, then this video has fulfilled its purpose. Are you ready? Let's begin. With Lesson 1. Strength doesn't come from willpower, but from right thinking. Lesson 1. Strength doesn't come from willpower, but from right thinking. My friend, when I was younger, I used to believe that willpower was the most powerful force a person could train, like a soldier pushing through pain with clenched teeth and sheer grit. But as the years passed, I realized willpower has limits. It's like a candle: the longer it burns, the weaker it becomes. Then I discovered Stoicism. Not from a book, but in real life. One quiet afternoon after receiving some bad news, I realized I couldn't keep toughing it out without eventually collapsing. Stoicism didn't teach me to brace harder. It taught me to observe, to understand, and to respond with reason. Imagine this: you receive harsh criticism from your boss or from someone you love. Willpower tells you, hang in there. Don't let it get to you. But Stoicism says, pause. Consider whether the criticism is true. If it is, learn from it. If it's not, let it go. You see the difference. One is silent endurance. The other is a deliberate response with reason and self-respect. This is the difference between reactive toughness and conscious resilience. One drains you. The other makes you stronger with each challenge you face. There's a quote by Marcus Aurelius that I carry with me. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Have you ever felt that an older patient once told me he lost his job after 30 years? At first, there was panic sadness. But then he asked himself, maybe this is my chance to finally do what I've been putting off: teach history again, the subject I once loved. And he did. 5 years later, he was a beloved teacher at a local high school. We can't control everything that happens to us in life, but we can always control how we respond. Are you ready to choose that response? Lesson 2. Negative visualization: the art of mastering fear. Dear friend, I once had a friend, a retired soldier who served for 25 years. He was the picture of strength, tall, calm, principled. But what most people didn't know was this: he often struggled with insomnia, not because of war memories, but because of everyday worries, fear of illness, of his children's future, of the unknown that lies ahead. One day he asked me, how do I stop being afraid of things that haven't happened yet? I told him about an ancient technique the Romans practiced over 2,000 years ago. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. In simple terms, it's negative visualization, but with a very different purpose. It sounds strange, doesn't it? We're often told, think positive. Don't dwell on the bad. But the Stoics say, think of the worst. Not to panic, but to prepare. You can try it right now. Imagine you're about to give a presentation to 50 people. What could go wrong? The projector fails. You forget your lines. Someone asks a tough question. Someone chuckles in the back. Does that thought make you anxious? Then plan for each scenario. Test the equipment. Prepare answers to tough questions. Rehearse the tricky parts. And if you stutter, take a breath, smile, and keep going. By imagining what could go wrong, you strip fear of its power. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And I believe he was right. I shared this lesson with my military friend. He started every morning by writing down the worst that could happen and how he would respond. 3 months later, he called me. I still lose sleep, but now only once a week. The rest of the time, I sleep like a baby. You see, fear doesn't vanish by ignoring it. It disappears when you shine a light on it. Bring it out into the daylight of reason. Prepare. Then walk forward with the calm of someone who knows, whatever comes, I'm ready. Is there something you're worried about today? If so, try this technique. Write down the worst that could happen. Look it in the eye. Prepare for it. And then, let it go. That's not pessimism. That's wise preparation. Lesson 3. The root of inner strength. Living by virtue, not by instinct. Dear friend, one day I asked one of my patients, a 67-year-old man, a former chief financial officer known for his disciplined life, "What has made you feel most grounded in your life?" He thought for a long while, then answered slowly, "Not money, not status, but the feeling that I lived rightly." That answer stayed with me for an entire week. You see, in Stoicism, there's one principle that never changes. We cannot control the world outside of us, but we can always control ourselves. And that control, according to the Stoics, comes from living with virtue, living in the most honorable, reasonable, and good way we can. But virtue isn't about rigid moral codes like those in school textbooks. To the Stoic, virtue is a compass that guides us toward a life without regret. It's this: the courage to speak the truth even when it might upset someone. The temperance to forgive when anger would be justified. The justice to treat others fairly even when they haven't treated you the same. The wisdom to know when to stay silent and when to speak up. And the beautiful part is, virtue is always within your control. I remember once I was on my way to visit my mother when a stranger started yelling at me over something trivial in traffic. I felt the fire rise in me. But then I thought of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, who once wrote, "Begin each day by reminding yourself, today I will meet the ungrateful, the arrogant, the irritable. But I will not let them rob me of my dignity." And so I stayed silent and walked away. Not because I was weak, but because I refused to harm myself just to retaliate against someone who had lost their way. You see, life is full of things we don't choose. Loss, misunderstanding, failure. But if you hold on to virtue like an anchor in a storm, you won't be swept away. And here's the best part: virtue can be practiced. Each day, choose one quality to live by: courage, patience, compassion. And each night ask yourself, did I live by that today? Virtue won't spare you from hardship, but it will help you walk through the storm with your head held high and a heart free from regret. Are you ready to start living that way beginning today? Lesson 4. Amor fati. Loving your fate to find freedom. Have you ever gone through a crisis and asked, why me? I believe most of us, especially at our age, have uttered that question at least once. I asked it myself the day my doctor said, there's a problem with your heart. You need to change your entire lifestyle. I was angry. I felt it was unfair. I was afraid, as if life had betrayed me. But then I remembered an ancient Stoic principle, perhaps the most beautiful idea this philosophy has gifted the world. The Romans called it amor fati, to love your fate. Not just to accept it, but to embrace everything that happens as if you had chosen it. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? How can anyone love illness, loss, or betrayal? But look closer. Isn't it true that the most painful moments often become our greatest teachers? A woman once came to me for counsel. She had lost her husband after 38 years together. She was devastated, lonely, lost. But then, she began journaling, then writing. Eventually, she started a support group for elderly widows. She told me, maybe I would have never chosen to lose him. But if I had to live through it, then at least I would use that pain so no one else has to go through it alone. You see, loving your fate doesn't mean agreeing with every injustice. Loving your fate means refusing to let any hardship be meaningless. Epictetus, a slave who became a philosopher, once said, "Don't hope events will happen as you wish. Hope instead that you can accept events as they happen. That is freedom. That is inner strength. That is steadiness." Since the day I was diagnosed with my heart condition, I changed the way I eat, rest, and work. I slowed down. I began listening to my body. I started writing more, loving more, and now I no longer think that moment ruined my life. It returned me to myself. Is there something in your heart that hasn't gone the way you hoped? A loss, an unfair truth, a mistake from the past? Try replacing the question, why did this happen, with what can I learn from this? That is amor fati, and it just might be the beginning of the greatest freedom you'll ever know. Lesson 5. Living in the present. The power of this moment. Dear friend, I've sat beside many people in the final years of their lives. And you know what? Not once has anyone said to me, I wish I had worried more about the future, or if only I had analyzed the past more carefully. No. What they often whisper, sometimes through tears, is I wish I had been more present when my children were young. I wish I had truly listened when my wife was speaking. I wish I had looked up at the sky that day just a little longer. Have you ever felt that way? Your body is here, but your mind drifts back to an old sorrow, or forward to a fear not yet real. The Stoics teach us the future hasn't arrived. The past can't be changed. The only thing you truly have is the present, and the present, that's where your power lies. Marcus Aurelius, in the middle of war and the burdens of an empire, still wrote in his Meditations, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman. Do what's in front of you with seriousness, kindness, and full attention." Living in the present is not easy, especially for those who've known loss. One of my patients, 72 years old and widowed, used to say, "These days I'm just waiting to die." But I gently pointed her back to the small things: a blooming orchid, a warm cup of tea in the early morning, the giggle of her granddaughter. And little by little, she came back to life. In modern language, we call this mindfulness. In Stoicism, we call it non-judgmental awareness. When an emotion arises, sadness, anger, regret, don't push it away. Just observe it like watching a cloud float across the sky. Notice it. Don't judge it. Don't cling to it. You're angry. Whisper to yourself, "There is anger in me." You're worried. There is worry here. That's it. Nothing more. That simple space between you and your emotion is the space where freedom begins. You can try it today. Next time you wash the dishes, just wash the dishes. When talking to someone, look into their eyes as if they're the only person in the world. When drinking tea, don't reach for your phone. Savor each sip. Feel the warmth. Smell the aroma, as if it's a small miracle unfolding before you. Because, my dear friend, this moment will never come again. And maybe, just maybe, if we learn to live fully in each moment, we won't need to carry regrets at the end of our lives. Lesson 6. Action, the remedy for stagnation. Dear friend, there was something that once brought me to my knees. Not illness, not loss, but paralysis. That feeling, as if you're standing in a dark room knowing you need to get out but unable to lift your feet. Have you ever felt that way? Knowing exactly what you need to do but unable to begin, making a difficult phone call, writing an apology, scheduling a checkup, or simply getting out of bed in the morning. Stoicism offers a very direct principle for such moments. Don't stay still. Take action, even if it's just one small step. One of my favorite Stoic teachings says, nothing should be postponed. Action is the cure for a troubled mind. I remember one of my patients, a 75-year-old widow living alone, told me she couldn't bring herself to reorganize her home. Too many memories, too many emotions. She would walk past that room every day and turn away. I didn't tell her to tackle it all at once. I simply said, tomorrow choose just one old book, just one. Read it. Then decide keep it or let it go. She did. The next day, a photo, then a sweater. 3 months later, she had cleared the entire room. Not with tears, but with a quiet smile of relief. Action, even the smallest, is resistance against being stuck. It creates momentum. It reminds you I'm not trapped. I still have agency. The Stoics believed right thinking is the foundation, but action is where your character is tested. Are you angry? Step outside. Walk a few laps. Are you anxious? Write down the thought that scares you. Feeling empty. Call a friend not to complain, but to simply ask, how have you been? One action. Then another. Each small step, like stones laid across a stream, helps you cross your own hesitation. My dear friend, life doesn't demand that you have all the answers right now. It only asks that you keep moving forward. And no matter how small that step may seem, it holds immense power. Lesson 7. Insulted. Don't let others control your emotions. Dear friend, there was a time when a former student of mine insulted me in front of others. He said I was outdated, that what I taught was just useless philosophy for young people. I remember the heat rising in my face. Part of me wanted to fire back sharp and direct, but I paused, took a deep breath, because I remembered the words of Epictetus, the slave who became a teacher to emperors. It's not the insult that harms you, it's how you perceive it. You see, an insult is just sound, but feeling insulted, that's your choice. We live in a world full of short tempers, impatience, and snap judgments. If you let every careless word strike at your sense of self, you've handed the keys to your happiness to a stranger. The Stoic doesn't allow that. Instead, they ask, is there truth in what was said? If yes, I'll improve. If not, it's just wind. I once worked with a 68-year-old retired engineer. After retirement, his grandkids constantly taught him how to use his phone and computer with a mocking tone. At first, he was deeply offended, but over time, he learned to watch his reaction. Maybe they don't mean harm. Maybe they just don't know how to speak respectfully. And me, I can choose not to be angry. You see, our ego bruises easily, but true character doesn't show in quick retaliation. It shows in restraint, awareness, and deliberate choice. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if someone offends you, ask yourself, does what they said make me a worse person? If not, why should I let it affect me? Next time someone insults you, instead of reacting, pause. Create space between the trigger and your response. And in that space, you'll find freedom. Don't let others operate your emotions like a remote control. Be the one holding the wheel. Because in the end, what defines your character isn't how others treat you. It's how you choose to treat yourself. Lesson 8. The power of loss. When what we can't keep becomes our invisible treasure. Dear friend, I once lost a gold ring. It wasn't the most expensive thing I owned, but it was my wedding ring, a gift from my wife in 1983. I had worn it nearly every day for 30 years. One afternoon, I took it off to wash my hands and forgot. It was gone. And when I realized it, it felt like someone had punched me in the chest. Not because of its monetary value, but because it felt like a piece of memory had vanished forever. Have you ever felt that way? Stoicism doesn't teach us to be numb to loss, but it does teach us to look directly at it and find the deeper meaning beneath it. Seneca once wrote, "Remember that everything you have is borrowed, nothing is forever. And when it leaves, be grateful that you ever had it at all." That quote changed me. I sat down and began writing out the memories tied to that ring. The evening walk around the lake on our honeymoon. My wife gently holding my hand in the hospital room when our child was born. Our 20th anniversary laughing together because the ring was scratched but still fit. Then I realized the ring was gone. Yes, but what it represented had become a part of me. It couldn't be lost. A woman once told me she lost her family home in a fire. Every photo keepsake ornament gone. At first, she said I felt hollow, like I lost a part of myself. But then I realized the things that made that house special were still with me. In how I love my grandchildren. In how I tell stories about our family dinners. I didn't lose the memories, I only lost the place that held them. You see, loss, if we let it crush us, becomes the end. But if we let it return us to what truly matters, it becomes a teacher. The Stoics teach. You don't truly own anything, you only borrow it for a time. And knowing that you hold it more dearly. And when it's time to let go, you don't resent, you give thanks. Now, whenever I think of that lost ring, I don't feel sadness. I feel fortunate that I wore it, that I lived those days, that I was loved like that. Is there something you're mourning? Something that has left your life? Try to look back not with tears, but with gratitude. Lesson 9. Wake up like a Stoic. Begin your day with inner strength. Dear friend, I've had my share of rough mornings just like anyone else. The alarm blares, and I wake up heavy-hearted. A pile of tasks awaits. The sky is gray. My mind races toward worries, bills a sick relative, and unanswered email. It feels like being dragged into a new day, against my will. Have you ever felt that way? Marcus Aurelius, who woke not to peace, but to soldiers' footsteps and grim news from the front lines, once wrote, "When you rise in the morning, remind yourself today, I have the chance to live with virtue, to be kind, just courageous and mindful." You see, the power of a new day doesn't lie in how much you have to do. It lies in how you choose to begin. The Stoic doesn't start the morning with news alerts, social media, or rushed coffee. They begin with a moment of clarity, a quiet pause to return to themselves. I often advise my patients, especially those in their later years who feel life slowing down, to spend just 5 minutes each morning asking themselves 3 things. What virtue do I want to live by today? Courage, kindness, patience. Choose just one and carry it with you all day. Am I ready for adversity? Not expecting misfortune, but being mentally prepared. If someone's rude, if plans go wrong, how will I choose to respond? What is enough, I often remind myself. If today I have health, someone to love, and a decent meal, that is enough. You can write this down or simply reflect quietly. But here's what happens. You don't enter the day pulled by the currents of life. You steer your own ship. One elderly woman I cared for, living with chronic back pain, shared that every morning before getting out of bed, she softly said to herself, "Today I choose to be gentle with myself. Even in pain, I will smile at my grandchild. I will move slowly, but live fully." She didn't cure her body, but she healed her spirit. My friend, every morning is a new doorway, and you decide how to walk through it. Don't let the world be the first voice you hear when you wake. Let it be your own voice, gentle, clear, purposeful. because a day lived like a Stoic is a day you truly belong to yourself. Lesson 10. Nightfall for reflection. The power of evening self-review. Dear friend, for over 20 years now, I've had a quiet ritual. Every night before I turn off the lights, I sit in silence for a few minutes and ask myself 3 simple questions. Did I live according to my values today? When did I fall short and why? What could I do better tomorrow? No fancy journaling, just me with myself. No judgment, no sugarcoating, no excuses. And you know what? That moment of honest self-reflection has become one of the strongest sources of inner strength I've ever known. The Stoics called it the evening review. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once wrote, "When the day is done, I examine my conscience. I ask myself, what did I do? What did I say? What did I think? And if something needs correcting, I correct it." You see, the Stoic doesn't demand perfection, but they do demand honesty. They don't beat themselves up for mistakes, they learn from them. They don't let a day slip by as meaningless, they use it as a lesson. I remember a 74-year-old former literature teacher who told me, "After my wife passed, I felt like I was drifting like a boat without a rudder. But when I started writing down 3 things I was grateful for each night and 3 things I could do better, I began to feel like I had a hand on the wheel again." You see, an imperfect day isn't something to fear. What's truly frightening is letting that day pass without learning from it. Imagine looking back at your week and being able to say, "I've become a little more patient. I've listened more. I now recognize what triggers my temper." You don't need anyone else to grade you. You become your own teacher day by day. You can begin tonight. Turn off the TV, set your phone aside, grab a slip of paper or simply close your eyes and ask, did I live with awareness today? Did I hurt anyone through my words, my tone, my presence? Did I do something, however small, that was good? It doesn't need to be long. 1 minute is enough. But don't skip it, because tonight is your preparation for a stronger tomorrow. Dear friend, don't go to sleep just as someone exhausted. Go to sleep as someone who has learned, with gentleness, with honesty, and with hope. Lesson 11. Anger. Don't let a temporary emotion destroy something permanent. Dear friend, I once witnessed a father, in a single moment of rage, shout at his 17-year-old son, "You're useless just like your mother." A few days later, he sat across from me, filled with regret. I don't know why I said that, he admitted. I didn't mean it. But when I'm angry, the words just slip out like I'm no longer behind the wheel. Have you ever been there? Anger, when left unchecked, is a fire that burns through reason. It doesn't just hurt others, it wears down your own soul. To the Stoics, anger isn't something to suppress. It's something to understand and to steer. Seneca wrote an entire essay on it, De Ira on Anger, where he warned, "There is nothing more savage than anger, for it spares neither friend nor foe, neither the guilty nor the innocent." The Stoics viewed anger like a wave. It comes fast and strong. But if you remain steady, if you don't react right away, it passes. I often remind my patients and myself of this simple practice. When you feel anger rising quietly, say to yourself, "This is an emotional reaction. It is not me." Then pause. For 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds, that's the window where you can protect something precious. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When someone makes you angry, ask yourself, am I sure they meant to harm me? And even if they did do, I want to become like them, or remain better than them." You see, resilience isn't about never feeling anger. It's about not letting anger take the wheel. An old friend of mine, a retired postal worker, once said, "I used to get angry so easily over disrespect, injustice, exhaustion. But then I started asking myself, after 60, who am I still trying to beat? I just want to beat." myself. Dear friend, a single angry word can be remembered for a lifetime. One reckless reaction can destroy a treasured relationship. So next time you feel that fire-rising pause, breathe, observe, and choose a wiser response. Because anger is temporary, but its consequences can last forever. Lesson 12. Live like a grown-up. Don't wait for someone to rescue you. Dear friend, I once sat across from a 63-year-old man in a therapy session. His eyes were heavy with sadness, and the first thing he said was, "I think I've been waiting for someone to save me, but no one's coming." That sentence struck something deep in me. Have you ever felt that way? That if someone just understood you better, helped you more, loved you the right way, things would finally be okay? We grow up with stories of heroes in movies and books in our imagination. But Stoicism doesn't believe in rescuers. It believes in you. Epictetus once said, "How much longer will you wait before you demand of yourself to live as a mature person? No more blaming, no more delays, no more waiting for someone else." My friend, yes, we can be hurt. Yes, we can feel lonely, misunderstood, even abandoned. But waiting for someone to fix your life is the most dangerous illusion of all. The Stoics teach you already have everything you need to change right here, right now. You have reason, you have choice, you have experience, you have memory. You have the power to act. An older woman once told me after losing her husband, I sat for 2 years waiting for someone to pull me out of the grief. Then one day I realized if I don't walk out myself, I'll be sitting here forever. She started with a single orchid, then knitting, then tutoring neighborhood children in reading, and she came back to life. To live as a grown-up means to take ownership of your mood, your behavior, your decisions. No blaming your parents, no blaming circumstances, no blaming age or the times you live in. I know it's not easy, but freedom never is. It's only worth it. From this moment on, change how you speak to yourself. Don't ask, "Who will make me happy?" Ask, "What can I do today to live more in line with my values?" Because you don't need a hero. You only need one steady step forward, one that you choose for yourself. Lesson 13. The true key to freedom. Focus on what you can control. Dear friend, I want you to imagine yourself steering a small boat down a river. You can't control the current. You can't stop the wind. You can't make the rain go away. But you can hold the rudder. You can choose your direction. You can adjust your oars. Life is just like that. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Yet most of us, you, me, all of us, waste so much of our lives trying to control what was never ours to begin with. We get angry because someone misunderstood us. We grow sad when the weather spoils our plans. We worry endlessly about the economy, politics, the stock market. But ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. I once worked with a 70-year-old man, a retired bank manager. He was addicted to the news, and every day he felt anxious about war, inflation, natural disasters. I asked him, "Are any of these things within your influence?" He said no. So I asked again, "What is?" He paused, then sighed. My attitude. That moment changed him. From then on, he began focusing on what was within his control, how he spoke to his loved ones, how he spent his time, how he responded to his own emotions. Epictetus called this the sacred distinction. Some things are up to us, some things are not. Freedom lies in knowing the difference, and that's when the transformation begins. You stop trying to change others and instead strengthen yourself. You stop hoping for sunny weather and pack a raincoat. You stop waiting for the world to be calm and build peace within. And the miracle is this: When you place your energy where your hands can actually reach you, grow stronger, wiser, and happier. Dear friend, how much energy have you wasted on things you cannot change? Today, take all that energy and bring it back home to yourself. Focus on your thoughts, your actions, your attitude. That is where true freedom begins. That is where real peace begins to bloom. Lesson 14. The final victory. To become yourself, grounded and principled. Dear friend, years ago, when I was still a young man chasing success and recognition, I asked an older mentor of mine, "How do you know when you've truly won?" He smiled and didn't answer. It wasn't until many years later that I finally understood. He had left the answer for life to teach me. True victory isn't power or money or applause. It's waking up each morning looking in the mirror and seeing someone you don't have to pretend to be. Have you ever felt exhausted trying to please others? Trying to seem stronger, happier, more okay than you truly feel inside? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "All you need to do is keep your soul untainted, free of disturbance, untouched by low desires. That alone is a full life." The Stoics didn't strive to appear virtuous. They strove to be honest. No performance, no polishing. They asked themselves each day, "Am I living in alignment with my values?" I once met a man 78 years old who lived simply in a small apartment. No children, no great wealth. But his eyes were bright, and his smile quiet and real. I asked him, "What's your secret to this calm?" He said, "I stopped trying to please others. I just try not to betray myself." You see, in a world obsessed with status, attention, and achievement, a person who lives steadily by their principles is rare. The Stoics' victory is this: not lashing out when provoked, not lying to yourself when temptation comes, not losing your kindness when others treat you poorly, not abandoning yourself to chase the approval of the crowd. I believe that at a certain age where you and I are now, there's nothing left to prove. What matters is simply this: do I know who I am? Do I live for what truly matters? And will I leave this world with no regrets? Dear friend, you don't need to be the best, the richest, or the most admired. You only need to be the person you're proud to be when you close your eyes at the end of the day. That is the final victory. The highest reward no one can take from you. That is you. Dear friend, so here we are at the end of our journey through 14 Stoic lessons. From managing emotions, accepting life as it is, to gratitude and the lifelong journey of growth. I don't expect you to remember every lesson. I only hope that one day when life feels hard, when you feel lost, or even when you're just sitting quietly alone, these lessons will return like an old friend gently tapping you on the shoulder to say, "Breathe. You already know how to live." And if you'd like me to keep sharing more Stoic stories, gentle, heartfelt, and true to life, leave me a message. I'll always be ready to sit down with you again and keep learning together.